Yes, so my big complaint about the tournament actually was the pizza delivery system. And I brought this up to the owners after the games had finished. And we only had a 20-minute lunch break. And that's not enough time to order and eat a pizza. So you kind of need to have them in, the round before, at the beginning of the round before your lunch break. You want to be coming round and you want to be taking pizza orders. And then say, okay, your pizza will be ready at this time, which is when that round is supposed to finish. That way, everyone has a chance to eat the pizza, because the pizza was pretty good, and I was a bit sad that I was relegated to a baguette and a bag of crisps. Was there only one Tyranids? Gosh, there was only one Tyranid player. That's a bit nuts, isn't it? Oh, does that mean Tyranids are now an underplayed faction and I can play them? Great. Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and I have just returned as the proud number 2 player from the Bad Moon tournament, which was, well, it was supposed to be a 32-man tournament, but it ended up being 30-man, I believe, which means 3 people must have dropped, I guess. Maths. Wait. No, so, okay, 3 people dropped, and they brought in 1 ringer, so that nobody had to take a bye. That's why that made sense. I probably had to explain all of that before I actually said 3 people dropped. In this video, I'm just going to go over the positioning, really. Partly because going into all of the lists, which I have gotten, I think I managed to get the top 8 rosters. That's going to be its own thing, because that's going to take possibly ages. And also, I'm not going to go over my games yet, or maybe I will. Depends if I manage to get to 10 minutes or not. Let's go over what I've got up here, the placements. So we have 1 to 30. Number 1 is Tau. Let's just get that out of the way. Let's clear things out. Tau came first. Simon Prittis is the same Simon that won the previous Bad Moon tournament with Tau again. However, the last one was only 10-man. This one was 30. So, I think that's good proof that he is obviously a good player with a good team, presumably. I played him round 1. We clashed heads. I did a lot better in this one than I did in the previous tournament, where he just destroyed me and I almost conceded like turn 2. In this one, I managed to take it to a draw completely, so we had the same number of secondaries maxed, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, I'm second on that list with Necrons. Then third we have Harlequins, Thousand Suns, Astra Militarum, Dark Eldar, Space Marines, and we see that number 8 there, and I have no idea why, but number 8 is, I'm going to say Gisli. I apologise immediately. He was Drukhari. I believe he was rack spam. We could take a look at his roster if we need to. Then, I'm just going to list off the rest of them. We've got GT Cults, Adeptus Mechanicus, Chaos Space Marines. Again, I don't know why the faction is missing from this guy, but it is. We've got Space Marines, Deathwatch, Orcs, Death Guard, Tyranids, Thousand Suns. Now, the next 2, Reese and Ian, again, both missing factions. I, however, know that Reese was playing Death Guard. I don't know what Ian was playing, though. But then we've got Death Guard, again, Astra Militarum, okay, and A. Joyce here, again, missing a faction, but I played him. He was Tau. Then we've got Death Guard, Chaos, Dark Eldar, another missing faction, Grey Knights, Space Marines, Astra Militarum. Now, this is pretty interesting, just to go over all of these in general. Also, I suppose I need to talk about how things were scored at this point, don't I? So, you got 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss. And then the deciding factor was maxed secondaries. So, if you score cut apart 3 times, that counts as 1 maxed secondary. Easy stuff. Personally, and I think other people got the same feeling while I was there wasn't enough granularity in that. Max secondaries are fine as a metric, I suppose, but honestly, I would have just rather taken total VP and specialists killed. I actually think that's a better way of getting a difference in score. Yeah, because, and again, I don't know how exactly this piece of software that they were using worked. It's not BCP. I think it was just a spreadsheet. So I don't quite understand exactly what's happening here. But for example, both me and Simon both have identical points. I can only assume that means that we both got, so I know that we both got 4 wins, 1 draw, because we drew against each other, and then we won the rest of our matches. And then we must have, I assume, gotten the same number of maxed secondaries, which might sound odd. However, I believe I maxed 2 secondaries in every mission, basically. And that's probably average-ish? I don't know. Or at least, I assume that people that are winning are obviously winning on points, and therefore they are having to max secondaries to remain a winner. Therefore, if you're not maxing 2 secondaries, you've probably lost, would be my guess. So it seems that me and Simon there, me and the Tau, are in 100% equal, but he came first, which I want to say would be strength of schedule, because in the final round, he played someone that was undefeated, and I played someone that had taken 1 loss already. Yes, that sounds right. And so therefore, his strength of schedule would have been better than mine. Okay, makes sense. However, we see the final column here. Sorry, can I zoom in? Does that work? No. Okay, great. Is the same for all of us. In fact, the strength of schedule here is really weird. Everybody is the same, apart from 10 people that have just completely random strength of schedules, and I have no idea what those mean. So basically, I don't know how things were scored, and I don't really know if I'm joint first or if I'm second. And then the next 3, are they all joint second? I don't know. Anyway, what I'm saying is, the tournament itself should have been a touch more granular. Anyway, so, interestingly, we have a Tau in first place, and we have a Tau at 23rd place. We have Astra Militarum at 5th. Now, again, Pete there, who hopefully you've seen his post on Reddit where he broke down all of his games. He did it really well, so you should actually go check out his post. Was the undefeated player that went against Simon, the Tau there. So he kind of jumped from first place to 5th, which again is a little bit sucky, and that's probably because of secondaries. You know, if you have one tough match against an opponent that's just blocking you from secondaries, then even if you're undefeated apart from a single game, you drop way down the list because, you got dominated in one match. Not that I'm saying he got dominated. I'm just saying, if you block them for getting those max secondaries, then it doesn't matter how good you were at killing things. It doesn't matter how many points you actually scored. You just took 1 point or 0 points for a loss. But then we also have Astra Militarum last. Interesting. I suppose the only thing of note here is there was only one Grey Knights player, repping the team hard there. He came 3rd to last, which is unfortunate. Yeah, honestly, playing these games and using these secondaries, playing an elite team is so difficult. I don't know how. So Deathwatch came 14th there. I think that's really good job him, because I all of the ways I was scoring was sticking a flayed one in the corner of the board and doing nothing with it. That was I had 2 models every turn, every game, getting me all of my points, basically. I mean, it was tactical play, but it wasn't exactly engaging. And that's how I scored all my points. Which means that as an elite team, if you had to take those 2 same models and stick them at the back of the board and do nothing with them, you're screwed. Basically, yeah. Dave Skinner there came 4th with Thousand Suns. I believe he said this was his first time playing the army. So clearly Thousand Suns OP, need to be nerfed. I'm not 100% sure what he was running. I believe I have his list, but again, I don't know what he actually took. He was I assume he was taking the kind of the standard list. The only question is, was he taking a Terminator Sorcerer or not? I believe he was. Don't know though. And then we had Rob Sweeney there, 3rd with Harlequins. We have his list, not to worry, we'll go over that later. The only time I was really aware of Robbie there was when he, or Rob, sorry, I think he did specifically told me not to call him Robbie. Or did he say it's Rob or Robert? You know what, I can't remember. The only time I saw him actually play was in the final game when he was on the table next to me against Declan, with his Salamanders there. Well, they were played as Ravenguard, but they were played as Salamanders. And I believe Deck said he had never played Harlequins before. I was unaware that they charge on 3d6. And yeah, it went about as well as you might expect after that revelation. And I think he broke turn 2. And that was it. Right, is there anything else to take away from this list? There's only one Orcs player. The top 3 factions in terms of people that brought them were Death Guard, Space Marines, and Drukhari, and Astra Militarum. The top 4, they all drew 4 people. 3 people took those 4 teams. Everything else was 1s and 2s. Obviously, there was only 1 Necron player. That was me. There were 2 Tau, 1,000 Suns, 1 Grey Knights, 1 Death Watch. Was there only 1 Tyranids? Gosh, there was only 1 Tyranid player. That's a bit nuts, isn't it? Oh, does that mean Tyranids are now an underplayed faction and I can play them? Great. Tyranids are next, boys. I'm going to win. Ah. The other mildly interesting thing to note there for the Drukhari players are 2 of the lists were, you know, the standard Prophets of Flesh, Rack Spam. One of them was Soup. The Soup did worse than the other 2. But again, I didn't actually see all of the games play out, so I can't really say anything. But it's just interesting to know, because I know that among Drukhari players, people are still trying to decide, should you be taking Soup so that you can get the best of everything, or should you be taking Prophets of Flesh, Rack Spam, because let's be honest, they're really good at sitting on objectives, and that's what the game is. And that's about all I have to say on the rankings. I just did this video. Hopefully I've managed to cut it down from the 16 minutes that it's currently at. My gosh. And I know that people like to see what comes first. So I hope a lot of you managed to just click on the video, take a look at it and say, oh yeah, okay, cool, thanks, bye. At least you know. Because I know that this isn't on BCP, which makes it a little bit difficult to get hold of. The rest of this week, I am, of course, going to do my best to milk this content dry, because I've got nothing else going on in my life. And I am going to go over the rosters of the top 8. I believe I managed to get them all. And I'm also going to go over, not the rosters, my own games. So that maybe I could kind of tell you guys how to win at the SoCal pack. And obviously I will be getting that out before SoCal actually occurs. So everybody from going to SoCal could say, oh, well, Glass Half Dead said that you should concede on turn 1 and that's how you win because of a glitch in the system. It's not how I won. It's not how I won, honestly. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, the tournament itself, I had a really good time. I'll be honest, I was a little bit ill. Like something was coming on, tickly throat. But I managed to stave it off until today, where I am now partly dying because of having to shout across a board the entire day. But yeah, it was really, really good. It's, I suppose, an interesting note is that the judges, I believe, were never asked a single rules question. They may have been asked questions about how do I score this, and I know they were because I don't think the SoCal scoring system is particularly intuitive. Odd as that may sound, intuitive sounds odd, but yeah, it needs a bit of work maybe. So they were asked, how do I score, you know, what does this mean, blah, blah, blah. But when it came to any rules questions, there weren't that many throughout the day that I could see. But if there were, people just asked the table next to them. I don't believe the judges got asked a single rules question. I got asked a few. But in the same way that anybody would have been asked a few. We also, in game 1, we had a line of sight rules query. Not query, but I said, is he obscured? And my opponent got down and said, I think not, but maybe he is. And I said, well, you choose. Play it whichever way you prefer. And he just asked the guy on the table next to him, hey, can you give a line of sight check? And he did. He said he's obscured, and that was it. Easy. Interestingly, from a TO perspective, you don't need to know the game, odd as that may sound. Like, you don't need to have a huge, in-depth rules knowledge to run a game of Kill Team. There is going to be somebody at that tournament that knows the rules. I mean, you know, when you have 30 players, of course there is. Hopefully. Was there anything else of note? Yes, so my big complaint about the tournament actually was the pizza delivery system. And I brought this up to the owners after the games had finished. And we only had a 20-minute lunch break. And that's not enough time to order and eat a pizza. So you kind of need to have them in, you know, the round before, at the beginning of the round before your lunch break. You want to be coming round and you want to be taking pizza orders. And then say, okay, your pizza will be ready at this time, which is when that round is supposed to finish. That way, everyone has a chance to eat the pizza, because the pizza was pretty good, and I was a bit sad that I was relegated to a baguette and a bag of crisps. Anyway, with that said, good tournament, good venue, looking forward to the next one. I believe there are more tournaments coming up from Dark Sphere instead of Bad Moon, middle of November. So we will see how that all pans out. Anyway, my God, I feel like I've said nothing in this video, but that's because I'm a bit ill, and my head is not focused. Anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've had a good day, and I hope you continue to have a good day. Goodbye.